Isaiah Simmons, not a good night for number 9. He had flashbacks to that horror show last year, week 1 against Kansas City, culminating tonight, playing well into I think the second quarter. Bo Brock played with the twos, maybe the threes at some point. Was Jonathan Gannon sending a message? Because frankly, what it looked like, I don't know if it looked like this in person at State Farm Stadium. Isaiah Simmons was all over the Twitter streets, Bo, being called aloof, not going full speed. The 15-yard penalty, that didn't bother me as much, but just looking behind his receivers, and you give us what you believe was a correct synopsis of what you saw from the converted safety.
Well, let's hear from Jonathan Gannon first, and then I'll give my thoughts. This is what JG had to say about Simmons.
I got to watch the tape on that. I know he had the one penalty, which was bang bang. It was a good physical play. And then a couple times in coverage, might have lost leverage, but we'll go back to the tape and get him cleaned up.
So, I mean, he just like yourself, he wasn't somebody that was upset about the penalty. It seemed like he kind of got it was a shoulder pad. It wasn't his helmet. But I think when he looks at the tape, he is going to see that where the quarterback scrambles into the end zone, and it seemed like he had the angle, and I don't know why there wasn't, at least an effort at the end of that. I think that's the one thing you could say, hey, that's not acceptable. And then he got put in the slot, and there was that big play. I think it was about 38 yards, and it was just, gave me PTSD watching the season opener last year. It just felt like it was the same thing. Put him out there, and he was one-on with a wide receiver in Brittan. I mean, I'm sure the wide receivers for the Chiefs were just licking their chops at the opportunity to go up against a guy like that who just doesn't seem to do very well in one-on-one situations at this level.
Well, I mean, anytime as a receiver, anytime I see a linebacker type or a safety type lining on me one-on-one, every receiver out there that saw that, they were just salivating because they're looking, I'm telling you, they're looking back at that quarterback like, come on, this is man coverage, and I know he's not hanging with me. He doesn't do this every day. So there was times in the defense, especially when he was in coverage, he just looked lost. And, you can call it, maybe he didn't know what coverage it was. Maybe it wasn't communicated well, but, the effort on some of those just wasn't there. And going to the, trying to hit or just pulling up on the goal line, not even given an opportunity to hit that quarterback. I know a lot of people were upset about that. As a defensive coach, you want to see somebody that wants to go after it. The penalty that was called, that was nice. I'll take that 10 out of 10 times, even during the season, right? The receiver slipped too, and he was going down. So a lot of that happens, with the receiver changing levels. He was already launched and ready to make a hit into that. So I'm not mad at the hit, but the goal line, yes, maybe it was a business decision. Maybe he didn't want to see a little fine in his locker, but I mean, at least throw a shoulder. At least do something. Make it look like you wanted to hit him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Vanessa makes a good point in the chat. Simmons' development was messed up. Now he has to learn and stick with a different position. This is the position he went to Jonathan Gannon and company and said he wanted to play. And I'll preach patience like I do with somebody like Zaven Collins, who I thought was solid again tonight. But again, the lack of the full speed, that's going to get you killed by the fan base and the coaching staff 10 out of 10 times. I mean, the number one theme next to Isaiah Simmons tonight was not, he looks out of position or does he not know what he's doing? It was, he looks slow, and he looks slow. Maybe he's not going 100%. And again, business decisions in the preseason is one thing, but if I'm Isaiah Simmons and I'm in a contract year, I'm trying to get a contract from the Cardinals or somebody else because I don't have assurance into 2024. Like, I'm putting together the best tape I can, preseason be damned. So it just wasn't a good night for him, Bo. And I didn't think we'd be sitting here in the post game critiquing a starter like this outside of somebody like Colt McCoy. But I mean, he did not help himself tonight.
No, he didn't. It was a tough night for those who go to bat for Simmons on the Twitter streets or anywhere. I mean, it was. I think there are some things where it's just like when you look at the tape, I'm sure his coaches aren't going to be happy with it, and you're looking for like that instinct to kick in at some point, and it's such an instinctual position, and you're not seeing those at play, and that's a little concerning. But it's 2 games into this experiment, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's a lot of trust. I mean, when they opened up with the first team defense, it was that trio safeties, and they got the 3 and outs. I mean, they or forced punts, I should say, against Mahomes and crew, where it was Simmons, JT, and Budda, and they were flying around, and Marco looked good. He had a nice pass breakup, and he came back on the sidelines after going into the locker room. And, I think Keitrell Clark had some decent tape out there today as well. So, I think the Chiefs, their coaching staff probably said, hey, if you ever see this guy in this position, go after him. And unfortunately, he was exposed tonight. And, he's still got a long way to go in a new position.
Yeah, totally agree. And again, like they're going to give him at least, I would assume, till mid-season to try to figure it out for better or worse, and to see if he's going to be able to be a part of this team long term.